Good morning, everybody. I'm glad that you're here with me. We're gonna put if you have something, we're gonna put a blanket down underneath our upper back. So I've taken my blanket and I've just folded it so that I've got about 6 or so inches of blanket width. And then I just lay that down. Now you can roll the blanket up a little tighter, and depending on the kind of blanket you have, you might get, if it's too thick when you roll it all the way up, you can leave it like partially unrolled if you want to, and just lay it out a little bit wider. Kind of give yourself a little bit of a lump in the middle. So this is going to go just right underneath my spine so that my shoulders can drop down a little bit, but it's very gentle. It's more subtle. If you want something that's a little bit more forceful, you could put a block under your shoulder blades and a block under your head and do it that way instead. Okay. So once you've decided, now with the blanket, because it's a little more forgiving, I can come down lower on my back. I still like to keep it mostly under the ribs. You can also use a little bit of the blanket to make a headrest. And then I just want to feel this, like my shoulder kind of drop into place. So essentially I'm just rotating the arm bone a little bit and snuggling my shoulder blades in so that I can get to these secondary breathing muscles. Now you can leave your feet, like I have mine here, in constructive rest. You can stretch them all the way out long, or you can put the soles of your feet together so you have little butterfly wings. So whichever you like better for this morning. I'm going to focus really all of my attention on the breath. So I'm doing the most relaxed leg position for me. Now every few breaths, or periodically at least, see if you can get a little more space in your rib cage. You can restrict the abdominals just a little bit so you flare the ribs with the breath. Mostly we're using the breath here at the beginning of class to try to free, or to give ourselves some, a little less inhibition from the secondary breathing muscles. So the pec minor muscle that lives here attaches it goes through past the arm bone and attaches the shoulder blade to the rib cage. So we want that muscle to lengthen, and so it's not pulling on the rib cage in the same way, or pulling on the shoulder blade. And then we want to get a little bit of movement going in the ribs, so that the intercostal muscles are being asked to sort of warm up a little bit. So we're going to do that for about, let's say 5 more deep breaths, somewhere in that neighborhood. So I'm going to take a nice big inhale. Now my legs are in a position where it's pretty easy for me to roll sideways, but if you need, you can adjust your legs and then roll sideways. Take out whatever's underneath you, and then come on back onto your back and just take a moment to move around or massage the area where the blanket or the blocks were, whatever you're using. Okay. Now, we're going to take the legs into this constructive rest position. We're going to do some work that is both a lengthener for the hip flexor as well as a strengthener. And some of you may have done this with me before. So we're going to put the hands behind the head. The reason the hands are going to go behind our head is so we can press our head back into our hands. And when we curl up, we want to keep the neck nice and stable and really ask the abdominals to do that work of curling, okay? The leg is going to do 3 different patterns. So the first pattern is we're going to slide the leg out and then we're going to bring it in straight down the middle. The second pattern is going to take it across into a twist. So we're going to bring the knee toward the elbow toward the knee. And then the last pattern is going to be bringing it to the outside elbow. And we'll do 3 of each. So we're going to start with that leg all the way stretched out, and when you're stretching the leg out, we're trying to open up this front area of the hip. So reach through that top of your thigh, spread out your toes, flex your foot a bit, and then as you exhale, we'll come straight up the middle, just bringing the knee in and curling up. Exhale at that point, inhale, stretch everything out, exhale, curl in. Inhale, stretch everything out, and again, really working to open up the front of the hip. Last one of these. Okay, so now we're going to try to take that knee across towards the elbow. Give it a good stretch. Bring it across. Pause, give it a good stretch. Bring it across. And one more time like that. And so as we stretch this out, we're going to pause there, and then we're going to bring it towards this upper elbow, the other side. Stretch it out, so it's sort of going out like a butterfly wing. Stretch it out. Try to open up that hip. One more time. Bring it in. Now you can let go of your head because we're going to just play with this leg. So you're going to stretch the leg out nice and long, and then once we're here, we're going to do this little internal to external rotation of that femur bone right there in the hip socket. Keep reaching through your leg if you can. Just notice any, tender places or places you want to take care of here in your hip. And then we're just going to draw that leg in. Let it rest beside the other leg. Notice if you experience any difference in the way the hip feels. Is it warmer? Does it feel deeper? Is there no difference at all? Sometimes I can feel a release of the hip flexor muscles in that area. So we're going to do the other one. So I'm going to lift my toes and slide my foot out as best I can. Just get a good long stretch through that leg. And then bring it straight up the middle. And then reach it out. Bring it in. One more time, reach it out. And bring it in. So we're going to come across towards the right elbow, or whichever is the opposite elbow. In the event you didn't do the right leg first, stretch out through that leg. Bring it in. Stretch out through that leg. Try to get the front of that hip open. Bring it in. So we've got 3 now we're going to do to this outside elbow. Stretch out through that hip and leg. Bring it in. Stretch out. It's our last one. Bring it in. So again, you can let your head rest. We're going to stretch open. Now we're going to repeat some of these movements in other ways during our practice, which is so you're noticing the things, right? And making sure you can take care of yourself. One more time, we're going to bring the legs in so that the feet are in constructive rest. Feel the hip socket, this whole area. Just notice if there's a difference. Or again, if there's any little tender places. I think I forgot this little internal, external thing. Let's do that real quick. So just stretch your left leg back out. And just feel those little muscles as you rotate the leg. Alright. So, if we're doing that in downward dog, or we're doing that on all fours, or we're doing that in some of the other Pilates moves, if you've got a place that was tender now, it'll be tender then. And so you just want to take care of it, and maybe, change your range of motion, that sort of thing. Just to, there's no reason to create pain in our body when we're trying to create strength. Okay, so we're going to flip ourselves upside down, which might require a little bit of movement. And then placing the hands on the floor with the fingers spread out nice and wide. We're going to start with the fingertips fairly high. So if I draw a little line down the front of my shoulder, I actually have fingertips that are above that line. So that's the beginning. So you're going to press that same area of the hip down into the floor, reach the legs out longer, press the tops of the feet down, and then lift yourself into a cobra. So we're going the opposite way we did last time, but similarly we're trying to lengthen through the hip flexor. Come on back down. Slide your hands back. Now, the arms are broadening across the chest, but not necessarily being used to lift this. So we're using the back muscles to lift, right? But then press the palms down, broaden the collarbones wide. Come on back down. Slide them back again. Press the legs in. Lift yourself into a little cobra. Broaden your collarbones. And then one more time. Slide it back. Broaden the collarbones. Lift. Okay. While we're here, we're going to do a shoulder stretch. Now, the shoulder stretch can be a little bit tricky if you try to go too far. So we're going to do our best, but we're going to keep it kind of gentle. You're going to reach the right arm out to the side. I like my palm flipped upside down, so the fingertips curl up. If you prefer, you can go the other direction. So I want my arm slightly lower than my shoulder to start with. I'm going to take, if this is my right arm, I'm going to take my left leg and bring it over the top, okay? So I'm rolling toward my right arm. Then before you go anywhere else, adjust the arm so that it feels like you're stretching a little bit through the front of the chest, top of the shoulder. Now I use a block to support my head. You can let your head rest on the ground if that's available. If you have a lot of room here, some people can rotate so far back they can pretty much just lay on their arm. Then you could maybe reach this arm around behind you if you want to, put that on the floor, or just put it around behind your back. I use it for support. What we're looking for is a sensation of stretch across the shoulder, maybe the chest, but we're not looking to pinch anything. So if your fingertips go numb, you're pinching a nerve. Bring your arm down a little bit. Go back off, adjust the arm down a little lower, and then come back and see if that's better. So we're going to stay here for about 4 more breaths. All right, so we're going to come out of this by taking that left leg back over the top, coming back to the center. Take that arm and just give yourself a little bit of circles through that shoulder. And then again, if your fingers are numb or there's any sensations in your arm that feel like that, when we do the other side, you're going to want to change the positioning of your arm bone. So there shouldn't be any feeling like you were pinching any nerves. There's a lot of nerves in that part of the shoulder, so we want to be kind. So again, fingertips are up high. Press the legs down, come to cobra. Slide the hands back an inch. Come to cobra. Slide the hands back about an inch. Come to cobra. Can you feel the difference between your two shoulders as you broaden your collarbones? Slide your hands down. Come to cobra. Good. And then we're going to do the other side. We can scooch this way just a little bit. Okay, so I've got my left arm reaching out. Fingertips are up. bringing the leg around, and then I'm going to spend a moment just adjusting my arms so that there's lots of room in my shoulder. Give my head a position to rest, and I'm just using the foot to help rest, but you can stretch your leg all the way out straight if you prefer. Again, there shouldn't be any numbness in your fingertips, so double check. And we're just going to hold steady and breathe. One more big breath here. And then we're going to pick up the right leg, bring it back, unwind that left shoulder. Give it a little bit of movement. Okay, last time. Palms up high. Press the legs down, come into cobra. Slide the hands back, press the legs down, cobra. One more, come into cobra, broaden it out through the collarbones. Then we're going to put the hands where you need them so you can push yourself up to all fours. All right. From all fours, we're going to take the right leg and the left arm out. Give it a good long stretch. We're going to bring these straight down the center. Curl in, stretch out, curl in, stretch out. Good, curl in, stretch out. Now hold steady right there and just reach. Good, one more. Excellent. We're going to bring that right leg all the way forward. So put your left hand down, slide your right leg forward. We're in a lunge. So you can come all the way up. You can keep your hands down a little low. You're going to just feel out this stretch on your left hip flexor area there. You can back off and come in a few times. Sort of find the edge of the stretch and not go too much farther. If you want to bring your arms up higher, you can do that. And stretch a little bit more of the tissue across the belly. Ooh, be kind, it's early. It's Monday morning. 2 more breaths. All right, so we're going to come down. We're going to stretch the front leg out straight and fold over it. So we get a little hamstring stretch here. We're going to take 2 more breaths. And then we're going to put both hands on the floor and bring that leg all the way back. Oh. Give it a good long stretch and bring that one down. So we're going to take the opposite leg, left leg, right arm, reach them out nice and long. Curl in, stretch them out, curl them in, stretch them out. Oh, one more time, curl them in. Good. Reach them out, hold steady right there. Give it a good long stretch, hugging through the sides of the waist. Beautiful. Then we're going to put that hand down, bring that leg forward, find your way into your lunge. Again, it might be helpful to do a little back and forth to explore where the edge is, and you can change your upper body position. More big breaths. One more. And then we're going to fold over the leg as we straighten it out. Get to the hamstrings a bit on this leg. Or a lot. Might be a bit, might be a lot. Depends. Inhale. Ease ourselves back. And then from here, we're going to take ourselves into downward facing dog. So if downward facing dog for whatever reason is not your jam, you don't want to have your head lower than your hips, then instead you can come to a sort of L position with your hands on a table or on the couch or on a wall, so that you can sort of replicate downward dog, or you can just come to a forward bend, halfway forward bend. That'll work too. Ugh. So, or child's pose if you want to do that one. So we're going to pause for a moment, kind of work the muscles in the shoulders, work the muscles in the legs. When you're ready, you'll bring yourself to a forward bend, come up halfway, exhale, fold. Now you can have your knees bent as much as you need to so that your chest rests on your thigh. And then we'll rinse out any tension from the neck. And then we're going to come all the way up to standing. Give yourself a nice big stretch. When you get there, all right, yogis. So we're going to find ourselves at the top of the mat. If you need to get a drink of water or correct any wardrobe situations, you can do that first. Once you get to the top of the mat, spread out your toes, find your balance. And then steady yourself. Steady your mind, steady your body. And sort of feel, memorize this sensation so that you can come back and see if it changes. So is there a difference left to right, front to back that you already perceive? So we're going to shift the weight into the right leg. You're going to take your left leg and you're either going to cross the shin over the top of the shin, so or ankle over the shin, or you're going to bring your ankle over your knee. And then we're going to bend ourselves into a bit of a chair pose, trying to hold steady. This may or may not work out, but we're going to do our best to balance here. Take 2 more breaths, whatever happens. And then we're gonna pick up that leg and step back into Warrior 1. Now Warrior 1, similar to a high lunge, except we put the heel on the ground. And everybody's ankle joint's gonna be a little different, so allow your hip to point whichever way your toes are pointing. If you can turn the foot in tighter, turn it in tighter. And then we're gonna take ourselves, like aiming a little bit towards the front. We're gonna take the arms up. Now, let the shoulder blades kind of fall down a little bit, reach up through the triceps and the back of the arm. We're going to take the arms and wrap them around behind us. Now, if you can lace your fingers together, awesome. If not, grab your right wrist with your left hand. Take a nice big lift, and then exhale, we're going to fold forward. So we're stretching the spine out, letting ourselves fold. Rinse out your head a little bit in this humble warrior. You can go more towards the diagonal, more towards your thigh. If your arms have enough room, you can bring them up toward the back of your head. Taking a nice big breath. We're going to release the arms, give them a little shake. Now we're going to bring ourselves to the diagonal physically with our torso. So you're going to bring the torso to the diagonal between your 2 feet. Reach your arms out nice and long, and then let yourself kind of sink into there. If you need to, and I think it's helpful, throw a block or 2 underneath your hands. Okay. So now we're going to try to straighten out our front leg, which is going to create a little more hamstring situation, maybe inner thigh as well, because we're on this diagonal. Bend your knee, and then straighten your leg out. And bend your knee. We're going to do that one more time. Straighten the leg out. And then bend the knee. We're going to take a step back into down dog. Again, if you're avoiding down dog, step back to all fours. So take a moment and feel the two positions in your dog. Right side, left side. See if there's a difference. You're going to come forward into a plank. Now you can maintain a full plank. You can maintain a modified plank. You can certainly add on to that as you need. So hold them steady with the plank for 2 more breaths. Drop the tailbone and the navel towards each other. Last one. And then you're going to lower all the way down to the belly. We're going to come into a cobra. Beautiful. Now we're going to take this right leg, lift it up, bring ourselves all the way around onto our back. So if you like, scooch all the way to the very tippy edge on that right side. Then bring your right leg around. Once you're on your back, you can bring your hands behind your head if you like, or you can leave your arms loose. Again, we're going to lift the shoulders off the mat. And so it depends on what you're doing with your neck. We want to use the abdominals to do the work, but if you're pulling with your neck, let your hands help you train yourself away from that. So right knee is in, left leg can hover, or you can let it rest on the floor. We're going to curl in, and then switch legs, curl in, switch legs. Again, we're curling by squeezing with the abs here to create the lift. Reach through the front of that hip with the leg you're stretching away. Two more sets. Bringing both knees in. Pause there. You can put your head back down. Notice any tension that you might carry around your neck. Notice any tension that you might still be holding in your abs. Let go a little bit. Take a couple of deep breaths. Now we're going to hold the body in this supported position. Again, you can bring your hands here to help give yourself an opportunity to let the neck muscles relax, or you can keep your hands curled in. We're going to stretch out both limbs, both sets of limbs, arms and legs, and curl back in. And the object of the game is that the abdominals are going to hold us steady while we add that extra pressure to the chain, okay? So extend out. You can just do the legs if you like, and leave your head positioned so that your hands are helping you. Or you can keep the hands behind the head and then extend them and bring them back. So there's ways to sort of help give yourself a little place to launch between the two. So let's do 3 more. All right. So let your head rest on the floor. You can let your feet rest. Do a couple of little windshield wipers. Take a couple of deep breaths. Now we're taking the right leg back where it came from. So if you positioned yourself a little differently, scooch a bit, bring that right leg right back over. Come into cobra. And then back to down dog. The right leg is going to come up, and then we're going to bring that knee towards the outside right elbow. Stretch it back. Outside right elbow. Stretch it back. Sink a bit into that left leg. Reach through the front of that right hip. One more time. Bring it in. Stretch. And then step your right foot as far as it goes up in one step. Put all your body weight on it. And bring your left foot up to meet. Come up halfway. Fold. And come all the way to standing. Give yourself a nice big stretch. then you're going to find your way back to your mountain pose up at the top. And take a moment to notice if there's a difference between the left side and the right side. So again, we're going to shift the weight to the left. You can put your ankle across the front of your shin or across your thigh. And then we're going to bend down into some sort of little chair pose shape. Could be more, could be less. That's up to you. You can change the way your arms are positioned based on how wobbly it is or how much work you want to try to do. Try to hold yourself steady as you can, given the circumstances. Just recover as you fall out. Two more breaths. We're going to pick up that leg and step it back into the warrior one shape. And again, let your hip go with your foot, but if you can, turn your foot in, turn your foot in. And then we'll take the arms up. Reach up through the triceps of the arms. See if you can let the neck muscles relax just a bit. Ooh, and then we're going to bring the arms around behind. Now, if last time you grabbed your right wrist, you'll grab your left wrist. If you lace your fingers together, lace them together with a different finger on top. And then we're going to go straight over, stretching our spine out as we go. Press backwards through your back leg. Let your head relax, and maybe your arms can come up and over your head a bit. And 2 more breaths here. I'm going to release the arms. And give them a little rinse. Again, we're going to take them to the diagonal, kind of reach them out nice and long. It's almost like a down dog. We're going to straighten out this front leg and then bend it and straighten it out. And maybe it doesn't go all the way straight. That's all right. Just however straight it goes, it'll give you some interesting information. So 1 more like that. And then we're going to step ourselves back into down dog or whatever equivalent pose you've chosen. Take a moment to notice, is there a difference in the 2 dogs, the last one and this one? You can come forward and hold a plank for a bit or stay with down dog if you like. 3 more breaths. Curl the knee, the navel and the tailbone together. When your exhale finds you lower down. So again, we're going to come into cobra in any of those hand positions you like best. Broaden out through the chest. We're going to take this left leg and bring that over. So if you need to reposition yourself, you can slide a little to the left. Now bring the left knee in, and then bring your right knee in. And we're going to give the legs just a little bit of a hug here. Now, you can put your hands underneath your hips for the most secured position. This will help you use both your arms and your abs to hold your low back in place. You can take them out a little bit farther so that the arms are out to the side. This might be the better alignment for you to get your shoulder in position. Or you can bring your hands behind your head, curl your torso up, and let your head press into your hands, okay? So any of those 3 positions will be fine. It might depend on body mechanics as to which one you would choose, or the strength of your abdominals. So we're going to take the legs up straight. We're going to glue the heels together. We're going to keep that low back stable as you lower the legs down for 4, 3, 2, 1. As we hold here, squeeze the abdominals in through the side walls. 3, 2, 1, and then come on back, okay? So we're drawing the sides of the abs in nice and firm as we hold. Here we go. 4, 3, 2, 1, hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, come on back. Lower, 1, 2, 3, 4, hold, 4, 3, 2, 1, come back. Lower, 4, 3, 2, 1, hold, 1, 2, 3, 4, come back. Lower, 4, 3, 2, 1, hold, 1, 2, 3, 4, come back. Lower, 1, 2, 3, 4, hold, 4, 3, 2, 1, come back. We got one more set to go. Lower, 4, 3, 2, 1, hold steady. 3, 2, 1, come back. Good, bend your knees. You can bring the feet to the ground. Do some little windshield wipers to help rinse out any problems that might be going on. Rinse any tension out of your neck if you had any landed there. Now we're gonna do some teaser or boat pose, depending on what you have in mind. So you can do the teaser, which is stretching out nice and long and then bringing yourself up to a boat pose and then stretching out nice and long. Or you can bring yourself to the boat pose and just hold steady. All right, so coming into the boat pose, and then you can hold this steady, you can lower it down, stretch it out, come back to the boat pose, hold it steady, lower it down. So we're lifting up, hugging in. You can even add a little pulsation. Now, we're going to give the teaser folks a chance to do 2 more teasers. If your boat pose holding is getting challenging, hold on to your ankles and really draw in through the abs, leaving room for breath. Good. All right, so now we're going to take our boat and turn it into an open leg rocker. So the knees are wide apart, your legs can be bent, rock back, rock up, catch, or your legs can be straight. Now the higher up your leg you reach, the more challenging it's going to be to get back up. So we want a nice smooth come back and hold for the boat. Rock back, rock up, hold, 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 one more, rock back, rock up, hold, and then we're going back over. So we're taking the left leg back around, come into cobra, which may not be easy, so take your time, because after the boat, oh, it needs to be a baby cobra, and then we're taking it back into down dog. Oh. Okay, find your dog, take your left leg up, we're bringing it to this upper left arm, stretch it back, upper left arm, stretch it back, upper left arm. Good, give the front of that hip a nice big stretch, sink into your right heel, step that foot forward, bring your right one up, come up halfway, exhale, fold, and then come all the way to standing, give it a big stretch. Oh. We're going to find our way back into our mountain pose. So here's our little touchstone around all the other things we've done so far. Is there a difference? Just in the overall quality of the mountain pose, in the way your body feels? Is there a difference left to right? So we're going to come into a squat. So the squatting pose just means try to get your butt lower than your knees. This may or may not work out. So Some people can keep their feet quite close together and squat. I need to take mine out wide. Some of us may need to take some yoga props, like a handful of blocks, and make a little seat to squat down onto. There's no shame in that, just whatever your squat will allow for. Could we come to a place where a squatting pose has similar sort of calmness to the mountain pose? Maybe today, maybe not. It depends on how often you do this, I think. All right, yogis, we're going to come to straighter legs. If you can hang upside down, do bend your knees as much as you need to make that comfortable for the back of your hamstring and your low back. We're going to try that one more time. We're going to come back to the squatting pose. Two more breaths. You're going to come back to a hanging upside down pose, bending your knees as much as you need to. Okay, then we're going to step ourselves back to downward dog. We're eventually going to wind up on the belly, so you can go directly into plank if you like. Or take a few moments just to play with dog one more time. And then we'll lower ourselves all the way down. You're going to take your right arm, reach it up, and roll onto your right side. Make sure you've got enough room that you're not going to smack the furniture with your body parts. Okay, so hips are positioned on top of hips. Shoulders positioned on top of shoulder, and then you can take your spare hand, the one that's not operating as a pillow, and bring that up front to hold yourself steady that way. You can leave it on your hip. You can lift it straight up or bend at the elbow and hold it behind your head, whichever one of those feels better to your shoulder. So more support, medium amount, no support whatsoever. It's just making it even harder to hang steady. If the legs come forward, you're going to feel a little more supported, legs lined up, little bigger challenge. And then if you hover the legs for some of the movements, it's much harder to hold the torso steady, so that will give you a bigger challenge of hugging in through the abs. So choose the amount of challenge that's right for you. We're going to take this top leg and externally rotate it so the toes point up, and you can feel that little lump of your greater trochanter kind of disappearing into the top of the hip. So it's a nice smooth situation happening there on your hip. And then holding that leg steady, we're going to rotate in a circle of some sort, an elliptical shape of some kind. So feeling the abdominal muscles want to kind of get wiggly, we're going to hug in and lift the side waist off the floor on the right side. And then we'll take two more rotations with the leg. Pause. Now we're going to internally rotate this thigh. So thigh bone is going to turn the other direction. This greater trochanter lump here on the femur is going to suddenly appear on the side, and you'll find one more little bump there. And then we're going to take, well, most of us, there might be some people that don't. We're going to rotate the leg theoretically in the opposite direction, holding the abs steady. And feel, if you can, whether there's different muscles involved in trying to help you hold the leg in this position. So the muscles that help to stabilize the psoas, which is this big hip flexor area we were trying to stretch out for most of the class, the muscles that support that action are the external hip rotators, and then adductor, abductor actions as well. So we're doing this kind of work here at the end to sort of help support all the length that we were trying to get in our hip flexors. So we're gonna bend at the knee so the feet come in behind us, lift the feet up, so now we're in that internal rotation with this top thigh. We're gonna externally rotate that thigh. If possible, extend that leg. Bring the toes back together, bring the knees back together. So this is gonna work both areas all through this movement. Now, if your knee hurts when you extend the leg, then don't extend the leg. Your hip is still building strength. Just hold it steady and then bring it back together, okay? So hold it for a beat or extend it and then back together. This is one of my favorite little Pilates works for balancing the hip. It does such a nice job. And hopefully you like it as well. If not, tell me and I'll try to find a new idea. We're gonna do one more here. All right, so then you're gonna bring the knees together. We're gonna extend the legs out. Now we're gonna bring this top leg forward, so you can just simply stretch it out in front of you, or you can bend at that knee. Just make sure your hips are still stacked. We're gonna lift the bottom leg up and we're gonna pulse that bottom leg up for 10, 9, just lift it a little higher, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now draw some kind of an ellipse, a circle of some sort. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go in the other direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now lift that leg as high as you can and just hold it steady for 10, 9. Don't let it fall. 6, 5, 4, 3. Lift that sideways. 1. Come on down. All right, so we're gonna take this, both our knees, just bend at the knee, and then you're gonna use your right arm to push yourself up. So we're gonna come to the mermaid pose. So you're gonna bring the legs out a little bit wide. I think the reason this is called the mermaid is because when you sit like this, you sort of resemble that statue, right? Of the Hans Christian Andersen statue in Copenhagen Harbor. But in no way does this movement necessarily imply that we're moving like a mermaid, but it gives us a steady base. So if your hip is sore, you might need to change the angles, okay? So get yourself into what feels like a steady base for you. We're gonna reach the right arm out, and we're trying to stretch this whole right side out nice and long, and then we're gonna use the abdominals to lift ourselves to come back the other way. So find the angle where it stretches out your hip, and it's possible that that same angle is gonna be better for your coming back. So nice and long, and then back up. Nice and long, and then back up. Okay, nice and long, and then back up. Now we're gonna go around to do the other side. So if you're like me, you just need to spin it around and lay it down with your left arm under your head. Legs extended, rotate so you've got the toes apart, and you're externally rotating that leg. We're gonna lift that top leg. Maybe the bottom leg's lifting too, because you're a badass and you need more room to work. If you're like me, you need that leg rested on the floor is still plenty of work. So we're gonna hug in through the sides of the waist. You're rotating that leg in a circle that's big enough to challenge you, but not so big that it causes you impossible to stay steady. Hug in through the sides of the waist. Pause there. We're gonna go the other direction, but to do that, we're gonna internally rotate the thigh, and then we're gonna spin the other direction. Try to keep the hip from falling forward just because you've rotated the thigh the other way. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now bring the feet together and bring the feet behind you. So you're bent at the knees, then lift the feet. And now we're in position for our little butterfly kicks or clam kicks. So the top thigh right now is internally rotated, then we're gonna bring it to the external, maybe extend it, come back and close it in. And that's our movement pattern. to do that 3 more times. Good, last one. All right, so we're gonna bring the knees together, extend the legs back out. That top leg kicks over in whichever way you like to kick it over. Just keep the hips steady. Lift the bottom leg. We're pulsing that up for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Holding it there and circling. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Other direction. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold it steady now and just hold. 10, 9. Lift your side waist. 7, 6, 5. Lift a little higher. 3, 2, 1. Bring that leg back down. We're going to come around for the mermaid on our opposite side. So again, adjust your hips. This hip might be different than the other hip. So you've got a steady base. We're going to find this angle of stretch here. Give it a good long reach. And then come up for your little reverse end of that. Stretch out and lift. Stretch out and lift. Stretch out and lift. We got 2 more, you guys. Reach it out nice and long. Bring it back. Reach it out nice and long. And bring it back. Now, we're going to come around so that we're ready for our final relaxation, however you want to do that. If you have to leave early, I think you should stay for final relaxation because I think it's good for your nervous system. But if you got to go, leave a little message to me in the little comment section, the chat section, so I know you were here and I can count everybody appropriately. All right, so here we go. We're going to roll ourselves down. You're going to give yourself a moment to stretch out nice and big. Now we're going to do one little just windshield wipers or a happy baby or just a little hug, whatever your favorite thing is. A little twist, whatever it is. And then if when you extend your legs out, you get a kind of funky feeling in your low back, grab whatever you had at the beginning, whether it was a blanket or a pillow, put that under your legs. And then usually we'll take that pressure out. Now I like mine pretty close to the top of my thigh, but you may want yours a little closer to the knee. Just find the spot that gives you the most sense of everything letting go. So the whole point of the final pose is to allow the body to pause with no real tugging. So there's nothing for our fascia to be reporting back to the brain. So all of those nerves that are responsible for us relaxing are also the nerves that are responsible for sending information from the fascia back to the brain. So if we stop the transmission, then the nerves can help with just simply letting us relax. Relax through your face. Let your lips grow softer and your eyes grow kinder. and double check that you're still relaxed and breathing nice and deep. We're going to stay a little bit longer. Take a nice deep breath. Let go with a sigh. And start with just a little movement in your fingers and toes. Let's just begin there. Stretch them out. Curl them in. And then stretch out your fingers and toes. And then curl them in. Try to squish them together. And then one more time, stretch them out. Give your wrist and ankles a little movement. Give your whole body a big old stretch. You can do a little banana in each direction. Goodness. And then, when you're ready, we're going to come to a seated position. And I'm not rushing you, just get there when you get there. Thanks for joining me on a Monday morning, sticking around. We're going to take a nice big breath together. And a big deep sigh. Namaste, beautiful yogis.